It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. The Sports Hit List presents Smoking Mirrors with Declan Krogman and the Polius Brothers, Greg and Stefan, breaking down the biggest news in sports, giving you the stories behind the story. Here for all the smoke, all the time, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Welcome to Smoke and Mirrors here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, presented by the Sports Hit List. I'm your host, Declan Krogman, alongside Greg Polius and Travis McKay from the Sports Hit List, who's filling in for our boy Steph today. We had a big draft last night. Let's get right into it. I can't wait. Greg, first, I'll start with you. How are we doing today?
I'm doing well. Got a lot to talk about today. I can't wait. Travis, you finally got your appointment on Smoke and Mirrors that you've been riding on us in the comments. Glad to have you on.
First of all, thanks for having me, guys, man. No Steph today. I'm used to working with you two. I ain't never got to be on the screen with Steph. I was looking forward to that one. You know what I mean? You two, y'all chumps. Y'all old news.
He's not excited to see us, is what he's saying. Listen, dude, you could just flat out say it. There'll be plenty more times. Listen, Trav, God willing, no one's going anywhere. We'll be all right. Can't wait to have you on some more. So let's get into it first. We'll start with some New York teams. What do we think of the Jets going with Zach Wilson? I'll start with the Zach Wilson, and then we'll get into the tackle guard they took at 14 in the trade. But first, Greg, I'll start with you.
Hated it. Told you I hated it 4 weeks ago. Think the Zach Wilson hype train. He has the biggest bust potential in this draft based on where he was selected.
More than Mac Jones?
Absolutely. I still think Mac Jones stinks, but I think he's in a much better situation to succeed as opposed to Zach Wilson, who is going to be the guy on day one. And just based on who he played, the fact that he only had one good college season and everybody blew up over that, that one throw in his pro day. I mean, I like that they're putting, pieces around him, but as a Jet fan, I want to see it work, but I don't have faith in it working.
Wow. Trav, what about you?
Well, as far as the Jets, I kind of broke it down into the good, the bad, and the ugly. And for me, the Jets made the good, man. I mean, granted, you guys are on what number restart is this for you guys in the past 10 years? This is like new beginning number 12. So you know what I mean? Hey, it is what it is.
Shout out Joe Namath.
You guys took a quarterback. Hopefully this is the franchise quarterback finally. Hopefully, and then you improve that offensive line by getting the kid out of USC. I think that'll solidify that left side of that offensive line.
I love that.
Yeah. You got the big Beckman from last year. Then you put this guy next to him at that left guard position. So hopefully this will secure the kid's blind side. And then, the hype train, like you said, it took off for Zach Wilson, and hopefully he can deliver on that. They say he's real talented. He looks like he has some of that, I hate to say, Mahomes magic. So
no.
I know.
Absolutely
but that is what has helped him shoot up the draft boards, because they see before Mahomes, all those things we used to say about quarterbacks that he had, they would look at as bad things. But now, since Mahomes, they look like, oh, well, we want some of that magic. You guys have a good coaching staff. You're bringing in that Shanahan zone offense, which is real quarterback friendly. So hopefully this will be it for the guy. Hopefully this is the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think Zach Wilson, first of all, I think it was funny because he came out the stage smiling. He looks like he's a senior in high school. This kid looks like a semi-grown boy. But I agree. I really think
coming from the young buck.
Yeah, well, coming from me, it looks about the same. But I do think Justin Fields was the pick there. They weren't going to do it, but I think they made the most of what they had. It could come to bite them back, in the you-know-what, but hopefully it can work out for the sake of Greg's cholesterol. I'm going to have to go with the next. Yeah, I know. Well, whatever. Maybe it's raising. The next Jets pick here before we get into the Giants. AVT, tackle guard out of USC at 14, traded up with the Vikings to get him. I think that was a great move for both teams. Trav, I'll start with you this time. What did you think there?
I think that was a great move because, like I said before, it's going to solidify that offensive line. You guys drafted Beckman last year. He turned out to be one of the better rookies last year, especially at that left tackle position. Stick him in at left guard, and now there you go. You got your left side all solidified right there. I think he will be better at the guard position because you're going to put him in that zone running scheme. It's very friendly towards offensive linemen. You want to get them, in that tandem blocking and then passes off and blocking, zone blocking scheme. It's very good for him. I think it was one of the better moves they made.
Hey, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. And I just got to give you a quick heads up, Trev. We only have an hour, all right? So got to go out of character here a little bit. Greg, I'm sorry to cut you off. Go right after.
Yeah, it was probably my favorite move the Jets made on the day because, as you know, I'm not a fan of the Zach Wilson pick by any stretch. We've been burned by the one-year wonder quarterbacks at least 2 to 3 times in the past, so I'm a little good on that. But solidifying that left side is huge. I would love for them at 34 to go get Williams, the running back out of UNC. But before we even get to the Giants, because that's going to be a long discussion, and yes. I want us to know what were our biggest surprises of the night on the best side and the worst side. So, Deck, what was the biggest surprise for you?
The biggest surprise, I mean, I was really shocked that the Broncos went with Surtain. I don't think that's the biggest surprise because I thought Surtain was going to fall to Dallas. I think everybody's mock was messed up. I would probably have like a 7% conversion rate of success on that. That surprised me a lot. I think the Bears trading up with the Giants at 11. I didn't see that coming. I thought that if there was going to be a trade up, I thought it was going to be from New England. But apparently New England liked Mac, the Bears liked Fields, and that's how they made it done. They got it done. I don't think Chicago is going to be good next year, but I think that could be a good situation that Fields finds himself in, especially if they do move on from Matt Nagy. Uncertainty, yes, but a good move for Chicago overall. And a surprise Ryan Pace gets it right with the quarterback kind of feel there. Trav?
If we're gonna go I'm gonna go with my good first. Then good. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. I like that pick of Micah Parsons, the linebacker right there. When healthy, I think that linebacker core of the Cowboys could be the best in the league at this point. They're going to be long, they're fast, they're rangy. Parson, he has some versatility. You can drop him in third down situations. He's got a little bit of rush potential. You can drop him in on that defensive line, and hopefully he rushes the passer. We all know Smith. He's good at the blitzing, and then you got Van Der Esch. I think that was a great pickup. We all know the Cowboys needed some defense. We all know they wanted a corner, but all the good corners were gone by the time they got there. So I think Parson was a very solid pickup for them. Also, I want to give a shout-out to the Ravens. Picking up Owens and Bateman. I mean, the Ravens tend to have this saying in that organization that, that guy's a Raven. Those were 2 Ravens picks right there, I think. Bateman at the wide receiver position is something that they definitely need. And then Owens at the rush position. He wasn't very talked about coming out of Penn State, but I think he will develop into one of the better players in this draft. And then, if you want to go on the bad side, man, the ugly. The Bengals, they're going to Bengals, man. You got your franchise quarterback whose knee was destroyed in his rookie year. So what do you say? Do you go out there and get him, probably the best left tackle in the draft? No. You go out there and you get him another wide receiver. Granted, it's his wide receiver from college, but that was just not a priority right there. And then also, we got to give a shout out to the Packers. We all saw the bombshell come out just before the draft. So what do the Packers do? They go out and draft a corner. You might as well just slap him, right? Just slap him in the face at that point. Like, come on now, fellas. Like, we don't want to sit here and say, let's mend defense a little bit. Let's throw Aaron Rodgers a bone. Let's get him a weapon. It not only would it help Aaron Rodgers, it would help the potential of Jordan Love in the future. But no, we're going to go out here and get a corner. It was a need for them, but still.
Yeah.
It's just ugly out there in Green Bay.
Aaron Rodgers, and that pick hurts Ken Jennings, for Christ's sakes, because that just sends him closer to jeopardy to take his spot. It's just, like, overall, it makes no sense. But as far as the Parsons to Dallas fit goes, Parsons in the Broncos scheme with Fangio and their defensive coordinator alongside Von Miller, the mentorship there. I like the idea that they replaced a Penn State linebacker and Sean Lee with a Penn State linebacker, Micah Parsons, who has the potential, by all means, to be better than Sean Lee. To really line up great with Van Der Esch. It's a bad defense right now. Hopefully they can turn it around for Dallas' sake. The one thing I'll say, though, is yes, we've heard some character issues, some maturity issues from Parsons. We've also heard the generational label. It's a shot you got to take. The pick is there. The pick has to be made for Dallas. That said, I don't know if his personality is going to mesh well in Jerry's world. However, there's going to be no in between. It's either going to go really, really well, like he's going to gel there perfectly, or it's going to flop. I just want to get your guys' take on that.
So
Jerry loves those type of players.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to have a
But
problem.
he's got burned by them in the past, though.
Zeke got a couple of tickets going 80 and a 40. This is par for the course.
Right. He likes a little attitude on his players. It sells.
Travis stole a little thunder with my worst picks. I was definitely going to go Bengals because if you guys saw my status, they're a poverty franchise. I don't care that Jamar Chase was arguably the best wide receiver prospect in the draft and that he was Burrow's go-to guy in college. I don't care. You can't throw the ball if you're not upright. So that in itself was super problematic for me. And the other worst was the Packers. I really don't understand what's going on in Green Bay's front office for the last 2.5 years, maybe 3 years. But it just doesn't.
Whatever the last time they picked a skill position in the first round
it really doesn't make sense.
It's been longer than 10 years because I think they said the past 10 picks have been defense and one was Jordan Love.
Yeah, Bengals got the best wide receiver in the draft, but it does nothing to help them in turn because it's not like they were struggling at that particular position. But we're going to get into that argument a little later. But as far as my best picks, I got to go with the Lions. Taking advantage of the Bengals' mistakes and getting that left tackle. Solidifying Goff's blind side. And the other one, I was going to go Bears trading up. Declan kind of stole my thunder there, but I'm actually going to go. I'm actually going to go with the Jets trading up to get Tucker at the guard slot. I think that was huge, and it's going to be the fact that he can, if Becton gets hurt, he can slide over to left tackle is huge.
Yeah, that's another one. You bring up a great kind of chain of events there with the Bengals taking Chase, or Travis that was, but you both were on that one. I was shocked that the Dolphins went with Jalen Waddle at 6. I thought for sure they were going to go Sewell, but I think that really just proves that they were looking Chase at 6 and really banked on the Bengals taking Sewell.
So Clarence in the comments asked if I'm serious. He said, the O-line class is
Shout
deep.
out Clarence.
But the only problem I have with that is you had the chance to get the best O-lineman in the draft, and you passed on it for a position that wasn't a need.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you know what?
Giants. We're going to get to the Giants in a second.
He's a Bengals fan.
Oh, okay. But as far as Declan's point about the Dolphins taking Waddle, I mean, you had in this draft we had a lot of wide receivers being reunited with their college quarterbacks. Devontae Smith being reunited with Jalen Hurts, Waddle being reunited with Tua, and Chase being reunited with Burrow. I mean, I think the plan for the Dolphins was always get a weapon for Tua. I mean, I've seen a lot of mock drafts and a lot of analysts who had Waddle ahead of Devontae Smith simply because his versatility and playmaking ability. So that wasn't a big surprise for me. I mean, if Chase was on the board or if Pitts was on the board, who knows what they would have gone with? But I think they're extremely happy that they got Waddle.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'd be decently happy with it, but I mean, overall, if we're looking at this draft as a whole, right? And we go first of all, the Lions war room was celebrating that they got Sewell. The fact that
as they should,
I would too.
I kind of find that funny that the way they celebrate because they got their, hey, you would think they just won a Super Bowl, some of the way these draft, the way
that is their Super Bowl.
No, I'm talking about all around the league, though.
Yeah.
The war room,
but then
they just be.
Yeah.
They all celebrate the way they get when they make their pick. It's so funny to me.
If you put it like this, in a fantasy draft, right? If the person in front of you like reaches for a player and the player you really want is there, you happy as hell, even if you just drafted on your phone. So I can only imagine what it's like in real life.
You know what? You're right. I'll give you that. Yeah.
And you see the Patriots, the Patriots who have really first of all, they win Super Bowls, and now they got 3 guys in their war room. It's just like Bill Belichick drafts his next franchise quarterback. It's like, yeah, all right, good job, guys. Yeah, nice. All right, let's go.
Can we all agree that Mac Jones was born to be a Patriot?
Oh,
like,
absolutely,
let's be real.
100%.
Like,
just even the walk down the tunnel.
Right.
Oh, he was excited.
Somebody posted on, I think it was Torrey Smith who posted on Twitter, Mac Jones walked down the tunnel like he was looking to tell on somebody.
He just walked out of recess.
He looks like he was made for that system. We all know that system is all about distributing the ball, being accurate, getting the ball being on time, and getting where it needs to be. And that's just him, man. I think he was a perfect fit for where he ended up at.
Totally.
I agree. You 5 QBs going in the top 15 picks. When was the last time that happened?
Well, I know the last time.
I don't know.
The last time you saw 3 quarterbacks go consecutively was in 1999. I want to say it was like Tim Couch. Was it Tim Couch? I think it was like Tim Couch, Donovan McNabb, and someone else.
Yeah.
It was, and then the other time was like 1973. But listen, I was shocked by the Giants pick. I don't know if we want to kind of save that for when Sean comes in. I know he's
absolutely
happy about it.
I want to get in on that Giants talk because you're
gonna be here for it. You're gonna be here for it.
Yeah,
I do want to shout out the Raiders, Manny's Raiders, for honorable mention of worst pick in the first round.
You know what?
Reaching for Alex Leatherwood when he was probably going to be there in the second and maybe even the third.
Mel Kiper was laughing on the panel.
I didn't have the Raiders in my ugly. I put them in the bad because I'm starting to see what the Raiders, they have a thing around there. They like picking players from winning programs who have been well coached. If you look at it, they've picked a lot of Clemson and Alabama players over the past few years. I mean, so is it a reach? I'm somewhat of a champion of if it's your guy and you believe if you believe in him in that organization, if you believe that's your guy, go get him. It is what it is. I mean, were there better players on the board? Yes.
At the position too.
But it's a position of need for them. They need some O-line help.
Yeah, because they got rid of half of them.
Right.
Yeah, they're winning 4 games. This is not a good football team by any stretch. Like, let's just be real for a second. I mean, but as far as going back to the Bengals pick, eerily similar to me of when the Giants passed on Zach Martin and went with Odell Beckham Jr. You had the best receiver in the draft in your lap, but you had the best lineman in the draft also equally in your lap, arm's length for you to take. And you went with the skill position, and now we see Joe Burrow get hurt. We saw Eli get destroyed in 2013. He had ankle surgery last game. I mean, how are you going to build a foundation from the ground up? If they want to sit this guy on a throne, they can't even stand him in the pocket for 2 seconds.
Clarence is right. They're going to have to address the line with their other picks in this particular draft. I just don't know if they're going to be as good as Sewell. But Travis, your Panthers, quick, before we go to break, what'd you think?
Yes.
What'd you think?
I mean, it was a good pick. It was a position of need. I would have personally preferred Surtain, but I could see how, a team could go either way on Surtain or Horn. So I'm not mad at it. I think it was a good pick. It was a safe pick, in my opinion. I believe it was a safe pick.
Yeah, the panel on ESPN was saying he plays better press coverage than Surtain. Well, not like way better, but just enough for them to be picked ahead. What were you going to say, Dave?
That's a really good question. What was I going to say? Oh, as far as the Raiders, you had Christian Darrisaw on the board, who really is just, I mean, the fact that the Giants passed on him, almost makes me not want to be a Giants fan anymore. I was recording on my phone, yelling at the TV, and then, I had this little moment of realization that every kid in Little League has when he gives up a home run or when he strikes out. It's only a game, right? It's only a game. It's only a game, right? Someone tell me.
We're going to get to that kid because you seem to be very high on him. But from what I've seen, when he was drafted, what was the first thing that came up it came up as bad feet.
He might need a little
That's
toughening
not
up.
something you want to hear when it comes to your linemen,
Yes,
okay?
no, it's not.
It's just really not. I mean, look, all the highlights they showed of him, they were run blocking highlights, they were screen highlights. I mean, I didn't see any pass blocking highlights. So the guy has some question marks to him,
Yes.
if you ask me.
Absolutely. Listen, guys, we got to run the break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Stay locked in. Smoke and Mirrors here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Don't go nowhere.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is Smoke and Mirrors on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back, everyone, to Smoke and Mirrors here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I'm here with Declan Frogman, joined alongside Greg Polius, Travis McKay, and now making his Smoke and Mirrors debut, we have Sean Kiernan, our boy from the Sports Hit List. How you doing, Sean? Thanks for being here.
Hey, doing good. Thank you guys for having me. Can't wait to get into some Giants talk, but I saw that Greg wanted to get into something before we get into the Giants. So.
Yeah, real quick. I just want to shout out my fantasy quarterback, Justin Herbert, and the Chargers and Rashawn Slater fall into the Chargers. And I forgot to mention that as one of the best moves in the draft. I don't think the Chargers expected him to be there, and I think he could be, a left tackle protecting his blind side for the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's
absolutely.
a great pickup for sure.
Definitely.
That's a good one for sure, especially to make sure you have him protected. I think the Chargers did what the Bengals should have did with a different player, though. I mean, hey, if they could have reunited Herbert with Sewell, I mean, we just would have kept the whole train rolling, which would have been awesome. That's like a nice little Madden draft, reunite all the college guys together, and we saw it for the most part.
They were pushing for that because there was reports that Burrow was pushing for Chase, and Herbert was pushing for Sewell. Like if he was available to move up and go get him.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of a role that played bringing in Chase to be back with his former college quarterback. Like, did the Bengals fall under the spell, kind of under Joe Burrow's conviction here?
The Bengals are just inept.
Right.
You think so? You think that's all it is?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they let Joe Burrow come in there and sit there and say, "Yeah, let's go draft this guy." It's one of those situations where who's really running the house? Is the kids or the parents? Like we all know
who's
kids
sitting on the throne.
Right. We all know the kid's gonna want the flashy thing, but sometimes the parents got to put his foot down and do what's best for the kid.
Seriously,
coming from the person with no kids. So I know Greg.
yes. I mean, we said Joe Burrow in the jersey reveal. He's sitting on the throne. I didn't realize that was going to really be their draft war room format on Thursday night, but I guess that's how it happened. Moving on to, I think, I don't want to say the most anticipated, but at least in the New York realm, I know Greg's excited to trash the Giants, as always. It's a nice low-hanging fruit for him. We're going to talk about the Giants pick. They went with Tony, the receiver out of Florida.
Kadarius Toney. Put some respect on his name.
You want me to? Well, actually, I was going to – see, you wouldn't let me finish. I was planning on calling him by his rapper name, a.k.a. Young Joker. That's a real thing. He's released, I want to say, 2 or 3 albums, and he's got 3 singles. Scouts were saying that he might be his biggest passion might be music over football. Great. Another New Jersey rapper.
Okay, Bell. I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's okay to have some passions outside of the game.
Sure. Hopefully he's a Damian Lillard of football.
When
they said he was versatile, I didn't think they'd be talking about music also, but I guess he's that kind of a Swiss Army knife.
Hey, the more you can do.
Yes. Man of many talents. Greg, I'll start with you before we get to Sean and Trav. What did you think of the whole trade down from 11 to get, I guess, Tony, or the trade at first and then the pick itself?
So here's the thing. I see why you can't turn down the trade when you get another first rounder. I get it. In that essence, you know what? The trade down works. You get a couple extra picks this year and next year. Only problem I have with that is I don't know if Daniel Jones' window is this year and next year. And I think staying pat at 11 and having the ability to take Slater there would have been huge. And Andrew Thomas is shown to be a turnstile and pass pro. You move him over to the right side, and you have Slater on the left side. And now the Giants are talking about something. Giants fans are talking about something they haven't had in a long time, and that's a stable line. You know,
Right.
they could have went Parsons. You know, because they've been barren at the linebacker position as well. But again, once again, I understand you trade back because you're getting the extra picks. So cool, fine. But as a Gator fan, I love me some Kadarius Toney. I know he can do it all. He's been compared to Tyreek Hill and all of that. But was he a need for them at that position? I do not think so. I don't. Yes, they want to have an embarrassment of riches for Daniel Jones to say, "Oh, you know, well, we gave him weapons." But same thing with Burrow. If he's not upright, it won't matter. And plus, you signed Golladay, you signed John Ross, you still got Sterling Shepard, you got Evan Ingram, you signed Kyle Rudolph, and you still got Saquon Barkley. That's a lot of balls to go around.
Agreed.
I was stunned about this trade back because this is the first time Gettleman has actually traded back in the first. So I was stunned that they moved that far back. I think this had a lot to do with Joe Judge, of what he learned from Belichick, how to trade around picks like that. Also, I like the Toney pick a lot. Like Greg was saying, he's been compared to Tyreek Hill. His explosiveness, he can go get that home run ball for you. The slant route from is there. Man, I would say this. The extra first-round pick, let me run this by you. What happens if Daniel Jones doesn't live up to the expectations in his make-or-break third season? Do you think that extra first is going to be for a quarterback next year potentially?
I mean, I don't have a choice at this point.
At that point, that's what I'm saying.
running
Like,
out of
if I'm
time.
the Giants, I hold on to that pick. Like, there's rumors that they should trade that. Why would you trade that if it doesn't work out for Jones this year? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And when we're getting into like the whole idea of the trade down, I thought was perfect. You know, let me get Trav. I want to get Trav on it first. But it's just the execution of the pick was just lacking, in my opinion. It's not a shot on Toney. It's a shot on the needs. There's no need there. Go ahead, Trav.
Put me in, coach, because I'm ready. First of all, let's get to this. Like I've mentioned to you before, Deck, you can't have it both ways, okay? You can't be excited and happy that they trade back and gain the extra first-round pick, but then be upset when they don't pick the top talent that's left when it's come time for them. I absolutely do think this position – because, Greg, your face, you look confused.
I'm a little confused.
I am. I'm not going to lie. I had to take my glasses off for that one because you're not making sense.
Because what I'm saying, yes.
I got to tap in after this.
If you trade back, you're obviously giving up your position to pick premium talent. So therefore, if you trade back and get a first-round pick, if you're excited about that, you can't be upset with what talent is left when it actually comes time for you to pick later in the draft. I absolutely do think this pick was a need for that team. Yes, we can all agree that picking a tackle, what was the kid's name from last year, Thomas? Andrew Thomas, like you, Greg, I believe he will be better at right tackle, okay? But the issue is you can't sit here and draft. It's the same thing I tried to tell you, Greg, when it came to the Jets and you wanted to pick another tackle. You can't sit there and pick tackles in back-to-back years in the draft because the tackle market is going to hit $100 million. So the next big tackle, he's going to get $100 million. There's no team that's going to pay two tackles $100 million. It's the reason why Jack Conklin is no longer in Tennessee and is in Cleveland, and it's the reason why Orlando Brown had to be traded from the Ravens to the Chiefs. Because no team can – you're not – in 4 to 5 years, if both these tackles pan out, that means you're going to have to pay them both $100 million. That means you're going to let one of them walk out the door. You don't draft first-round picks to have them walk out the door after their first contract. So what do you do? Wait, hold on. We're not done yet. It's obvious that the Giants wanted a weapon. They were going after Devontae Smith. So therefore, once he was off the board, they played it smart. They decided,
which is also a mistake.
They decided to trade back and get. Now you have the big 3 wide receivers off the board. Now you get what some would believe is the next best playmaker on the board. So I think it was a great pick. He's an explosive, dynamic playmaker, which is something they don't have on that team right now. He can do a lot of different things, and this is what you need to do when you have a young quarterback. You have to put weapons around him to figure out what he is. If the Jets would have done that for Sam Darnold, then maybe we wouldn't have him in Carolina right now, okay? This is what you have to do. You have to surround him to see what he can do.
Yeah, but if the Bengals wouldn't have done that and taken Sewell instead of Chase, then we wouldn't be having that conversation right now.
They have weapons they have weapons in Cincinnati.
So do the Giants. The Giants just signed Kenny Golladay. They don't have.
First of all, we had Kenny Golladay is not an elite receiver. Okay,
he's very good. He led the league in touchdowns 2 years ago.
He's an okay receiver, but the Giants don't. The Giants don't have a player like Tony on their roster. They don't have a guy.
And they didn't need one. They didn't need one either. They didn't need one.
Everybody wants one. It's a copycat league. You see Tyreek Hill out here. Everybody wants one. So you want that type of guy.
Hold on, guys. Sean's been real quiet. Sean, I just see you kind of just sitting there. What do you have to say about this back and forth?
Man, I'll say this. Me and Declan were going back and forth last night because we thought that truly offensive tackle, I know Declan wanted Darisaw. That made a lot more sense because obviously we need the depth there. Like here, the offensive line class is pretty deep. And I think the receiving class is pretty deep as well. So like the Giants, that I like the Tony pick, but they didn't really need him at that spot. You know what I mean? Like I think they could have got more offensive line depth. And I think that was much more like anticipated what we expected because, man, like how do you expect this offense to succeed if you're not getting the offensive line help?
Okay, so what do you do?
Totally right.
What do you do when it comes time to pay both these kids, and now you got to let one of your first round picks walk out the door? That's not smart.
Hold on. I can answer that. You keep talking about 4 to 5 years as if Daniel Jones has 4 to 5 years to prove that he's a franchise quarterback.
As if Dave Gettleman.
But hold on, Trav. He doesn't have that time, and neither does Gettleman. So and
Gettleman's lucky if Gettleman's focused more on being alive in 5 years than he is worried about the draft stock.
You're asking, about not paying them, as if the Titans and the Ravens didn't get equitable value for these guys they just traded. So you cross that bridge when
Conklin was a free agent.
I'm sorry, Conklin was a free agent. Yeah, sorry, but Orlando Brown wasn't, and they turned that into Rashad Bateman, did they not? So it's very possible to make moves, especially if you're in the Giants. To me right now, although they may not be good, but this is kind of a make or break year for them, not only for the quarterback, for the GM as well. So drafting a position that is not necessarily a need doesn't make sense.
It doesn't help you, and this is
a need.
It's not. They need a lineman. What is explosive? What is explosive on his ass every play? What does that do?
They don't have. All right. Well, here's a security blanket. You can give him to bubble screens. You can give him the reversal. You can give him jet sweeps. They don't have anybody on their roster who can do that.
What are you going to do?
Our producer Speedy made a great point. He said it's a need, but it's a reach at the same time because I guess he's saying.
Because this kid was rising up.
He could have been around in the second.
This kid's been rising up the draft board since the Florida Pro Day. Everybody showed up to see Kyle Pitts, but this kid, he stood out. He's been right. Ever since the Florida Pro Day.
So
they said he's going to sneak into the back of the first round. They said he was going to sneak into the back of the first round.
And that 20 is not the back of the first round.
Yes, it is. It's the later part. It's literally the later third.
Speedy, get out of my head, bro. You're in my head because I was just about to say they still had Bateman and Elijah Moore, and I love Tony. Tony's my guy. I watched him, Florida the last 2 years really, blow up. But Bateman, who's more of an X guy, and then you had Elijah Moore, who's probably the best slot receiver in the draft. We're still on the board. If you're going to address that position, why not take the better player?
Well, they were kind of interchangeable. After the big three went, a lot of scouts had them interchangeable. There was no clear cut number 4. It was the big three of Chase, Waddle, and Smith, and then you had these other 3 guys that nobody really different draft rooms had different ratings on the 3 of them.
Yeah, but there's just no reason to take it. Like I said, you're going to need to build up. We're going to be if we're not addressing the quarterback position next year, we're going to be addressing the tackle. I mean, hey, now that we got the trade, we could be potentially addressing both, which is never really that great to address the same side of the ball twice in the first round, especially when your defense, you have something to build on here with them being top 10. The Giants, in my opinion, are 1 year away from being the playoff competing team and getting to that step. However, being in the division that they are, we could be looking at it, and especially with the situation that Gettleman and Jones find themselves in, and now that the clock is kind of ticking on Barkley, they just picked up his 5th-year option the other day. I'm starting to think this team is going to be competing for the division this year, and they need to be win now. They need to be sped up to be a year closer than the time we usually take for this team right now.
Declan, this team is not a. This team. Is
hold
not,
on. Wait, Travis, hold that thought. Sean, I want to hear you as a Giants fan. I want to hear a Giants fan respond to that first.
I'm gonna side with Declan because once again, you have on the defensive side of the football, there's so much talent there. Patrick Graham's doing a terrific job, and now there's one hole remaining on the offensive side of the ball, and what is that? The offensive line. They need to address that now. And if they don't address that, guess what? They're going to be in the same spot, and that defense is going to rot. They're going to expect their defense to carry them and win them football games, and guess what? All of a sudden, the offense, with all those playmakers, what's going to happen? They can't do much because there's no time to do anything. So they got to build that up, and, that starts today. That starts today for them. They got to do that tonight.
Yeah, I totally. And we got to get to break in just a little bit, but quickly before we go, if we're evaluating the talent, and I'm seeing a lot of comments, very angry Cowboys fans, let's evaluate the talent. The Cowboys are going to give up 40 points a game, and Dak gets a little slow out of the gate to begin with. So they'll be chasing the clock just about every game next year. Washington has Ryan Fitzpatrick or Taylor Heineke starting, and even with their defense, I didn't like their Jalen Davis pick at all. I didn't think it was a need. And then now we got the Eagles, who, they'll win 4 games. They're in a pure rebuilding year. New coach. We'll be hitting segment 3 next, right at the 144, 145 mark. This has been Smoke and Mirrors here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Stay locked in. We'll be right back.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is Smoke and Mirrors on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back to Smoke and Mirrors on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, presented by the Sports Hit List. I'm your host, Declan Frogman, alongside Greg Polies, Travis McKay, Sean Kiernan, for joining us back here. I understand we'd like to get into some Giants potential playoff talk. Travis, I'll leave you the floor. Let's get at it.
Declan, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but Greg, I know you have. You've seen Bad Boys too, right? Remember the time where Will told Martin to get his mama's titties out his head? Don't even think about it. I don't want you to get that thought out your mind. Declan, the Giants are not in a win now situation. I need you to get that thought out your head, all right? I don't even want you thinking about it, all right? Y'all just not there yet. And I understand, yes, as somebody who has played the line once in his life, I understand the importance of building a team through the trenches, but the Giants are not exactly barren at this position. You have Nate Solder, who's coming back at left tackle, which will allow you to move Andrew Thomas to the right side. So it's not like you're not getting something back. Yes, do you need a little bit more reinforcements on that interior? But I still believe Tony was the best pick at that position they were at in the draft. In fact, I put the Giants in the good, bad, and ugly of the draft.
How is he the best pick if he wasn't even the best player at his position?
At where they were in the draft.
And it's not a good fit. It's not a good fit either. No,
at where they were in the draft, I believe he was.
Darrisaw's the pick there.
I believe
Darrisaw's the pick. He got projected. Honestly, we could have seen the Vikings take Darrisaw at 14 over AVT. I like Darrisaw more than I like the guy the Jets took. I really do.
Again, but Darrisaw, like I said earlier, Darrisaw had question marks. When you get selected,
the whole draft is question marks.
No. When you get drafted,
with that time, he could be the most talented tackle in the whole draft.
But in the first thing they pop up in your bio and says your strength is weaknesses, and they say bad feet at left tackle, that's not a good thing.
I will agree with you there.
His whole highlight reel, I did not see one pass block. I didn't see one pass block.
Well,
I saw
that's
was
Virginia Tech scheme, though. That's
he's
completely
dominant.
different.
He's dominant in the run game. He looks fast because he was able to get out there on some screens. But I did not see that one passing highlight. That's a problem. Will he be able to develop? Yes. But you can't sit here and say he was a sure thing or he was a better pick when your question mark is bad feet. That's a
You
problem.
can totally say you can say he's a better pick when you need that, when you have that need. And shout out to Speedy. He said Tevin Jenkins was the best pick the Giants could have made at 20. That's another better pick that they could have made to fill a need.
I don't think
Like,
so. They're gonna rock out with Solder for the last year of his contract, or maybe 2 years because he opted out last year.
Nate Solder is not going to impact anything they do. They'll eat his contract before they do anything.
You can't just eat that contract. At the time, it was the highest paid left tackle contract in the league. You
He
can't
can
just
sit on the bench. He can sit on the bench for a year.
Economics is not. You're not gonna sit somebody who's making top 5 left tackle money on the bench.
But he's playing like a bottom 5 left tackle. That's the a team is not in play. Oh, go ahead, Sean. I want to hear what you said.
And remember this too. And Declan sure remembers this one. The Giants decided they're going to stick with Solder over Kevin Zeitler, who's been their best offensive lineman over the past couple of years.
That make sense.
Because of the money.
Such an idiot.
Because of the money. Money talks.
Money talks. You know what? Like, let's get into it for a sec. Once again, why are we letting a Boston guy run this team? Problem number one. I know Carl would be damn mad.
It has nothing to do with the salary cap, okay?
It has everything to do with how we run
nothing to do with the salary cap.
Oh, my God. It's horrible. I thought these guys were supposed to be good at math up there. This guy sucks. It's unbelievable.
You can't just eat that contract. You can't.
Hold on.
How can we say a team's out of playoff contention, though, when they literally were – if it wasn't for Doug Peterson being Doug Peterson, and now he's out of a job because he's Doug Peterson, then the Giants would have been in the playoffs.
Because it's an NFC and it was a bad
That's my point, though.
Hold on.
This isn't a team that's ready to win now, but they'll be there. They'll have to speed up the clock.
Be this bad again. We can't.
I said it in the comments, and I'm gonna say it again on air. With Daniel Jones as your quarterback, you are not considered a playoff team. I don't care how bad your division is.
If Daniel Jones has the season, has a season even remotely close to his rookie season where he puts up 24 touchdowns and 12 picks, that's going to be what you need with these receivers.
You mean why you always? It's always interesting.
And with the defense,
it's always interesting whenever you give his
rookie. It's not a good season.
Hold on. Yo, Travis, you ever realize whenever Declan gives his rookie numbers, he always leaves out the fumbles?
Yeah, you know why I leave out the fumbles? You know why?
Those are turnovers.
Because he fixed the problem last year.
No,
That's
he didn't.
Why I left that.
No, he didn't.
He cut it down insane. You kidding me?
So just because he cut it down,
Lamar Jackson the whole year.
He just because he cut it down doesn't mean necessarily fix it. He still struggles with weak side pressure and recognizing it.
Yes, he does.
Then the problem wasn't fixed.
That's what I'm saying. The problem's never fixed with guys like, who do we have? Nate Solder on the line? We're bringing in rotating linemen with backup guys that shouldn't even be in the league? It's a joke. Chad Wheeler was on this team, for Christ's sakes. They're so stupid.
They paid him, so now you got to rock out with him for at least another year.
And you know what's so ridiculous? Zeitler wasn't even overpaid. He was making standard money, and he was a great piece in that Odell Beckham.
But Nate Solder is making big money that a contract.
And he's making big mistakes that are keeping Daniel.
Hey, that's therefore we're giving him the money.
Jones is so bad last year.
Sometimes Nate Solder wasn't there last year. So
that's why I said 2 years ago. I corrected myself, Travis.
When you sign a bad contract, sometimes you just got to deal with it because you can't cut him, especially in a salary cap decreased year. You can't eat that contract. Therefore, you have no choice but to play him.
No, you don't. You can sit him on the bench. He's terrible.
What do you think? Should he play?
I'll say this. The Giants think highly of Matt Pert. That's what I've been hearing about him. They love him a lot, and I think that he's going to take a huge leap for them this upcoming year. And I think Nate Solder takes a back seat because I think Pert is going to outperform him. I think Pert's going to truly show what he's capable of. And now this is his time to shine, and I think he gets that opportunity. And Nate Solder eventually is going to get kicked to the curb. He has to.
Exactly. I don't think
so. Obviously, the Giants believe that they have the position solved. So therefore, in their minds, the offensive line, that tackle position was not a necessity for them. Because if they think they have an up and
then
coming player,
they really are stupider than we think, though. If they don't think that offensive line is not a problem.
No, I'm saying if they think they have an up and coming player, and then they have a veteran who can, support them just in case, they're not going to see that as a priority in their mind.
So why didn't they think about Vera Tucker? If he can play guard, if you think you're that set at tackle, I mean, they just let Zeitler go. So Will Hernandez has been shaky. We can match him up on the other side. You don't want to start with Shane Lemieux, the fifth round pick from Oregon last year. That's not how it works. And by the way, I love how Sean goes and he delivers his points. He sounds like a friggin' 40-year-old offensive coordinator for the Giants with the way he talks and goes in on this. I love it, man. But I guess continuing with the Giants, if anyone has any last points, we can get into that in that regard. But I just think that overall, this team did not need a guy like Tony. You're drafting a slot receiver, a gadget player in the first round. When again, listen, we saw it against Baltimore against a second-ranked defense. We saw Jones get sacked 3 times in a row. Like at some point, you got to protect the guy. They're making the same mistake.
It's a copycat league, man. Everybody, you see what Tyreek Hill does for the Chiefs. Everybody wants to try it, man. Everybody wants an explosive, dynamic player.
And you saw what he could do in the Super Bowl when Mahomes had no time to pass.
Agreed, but hey, the Giants feel they have the problem solved.
Yeah, and they don't. The problem will be solved when Dave Gettleman gets fired.
You guys just mentioned the up and coming youngster. I never even heard of the kid, but they obviously think highly of him. So therefore, it is what it is.
Here, I'll say this: they think highly of him, but you know this. All of you guys know this. You can never have enough depth on the offensive line. That's the most important part for this team. They need it. That's their number one need. Yes, you can argue. Yes, they need an edge rusher. We know about that. But what's their missing piece on the offensive side of the ball? It's clearly offensive line. And if they don't address that, this team is in all sorts of trouble if they can't address that.
The 2 most important players on this team is Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones.
Okay,
and this pick doesn't impact Barkley.
I think I've had enough Giants talks for the day. Shout out to Mama Krogman in the comments. She asked.
Oh, that's my dad. That's my dad on the low. But continue.
Oh, okay. Brian says, "What are both New York teams going to do tonight in the draft?" I would love for the Jets to either go Terrace Marshall from LSU, or three possible positions: Terrace Marshall from LSU, Asante Samuel Jr., or the one I really want is Williams, the running back out of UNC. I think either one of those 3 players I'll be happy with at 34.
Sean, what do you want to see the Jets and Giants do?
All right, so for the Giants, I'm going to go with I'm really high on Landon Dickerson. I think there's a lot of connections there. Obviously, he went to Alabama. Joe Judge has ties there. I know they're interested in Wyatt Davis, the guard from Ohio State. There's been rumors about that. So if he's there at 42, I think they go get one of those 2 guys. But the problem is that the Bengals need offensive line, and they might get one of those guys ahead of the Giants. So if they want one of those guys, they're going to have to trade up if they want one of them.
The Bengals being as bad as they are with making judgment calls on personnel offensive line is going to screw the Giants. Trav, what do you think we should see both New York teams do?
I'm going to go along with Greg. I think Asante Samuel Jr. would be a great pick for the Jets at that cornerback position. Man, he's a legacy kid. He's got that. He's a zone corner, which is what they'll be running a lot of with that defense. As far as the Giants, I think they should address that defense. They still need that linebacker. The kid out of Notre Dame, Jeremiah. He's still on the board. I think that'll be a good pick for him. So we'll see what happens with that. But
he wasn't in the first round because of size, apparently. So that's what they've been saying.
Right.
That's the guy. And Travis, you kind of stole my thunder a little bit, but obviously, hey, we bring you on the show because you know you're ish, as they say. I don't think I can curse here, but I think this would be a great pick if they can get Joke. I mean, we could have young Joka in the rap game. We could have Joke on the defense. We could get the whole thing all together. I think it'd be great. They might even have to trade up for him, which, hey, they have the capital to do it. If they got to trade up, move up 5 slots in the second round, shouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But getting into Manny's question here, to switch gears, So I would like to see them take the linebacker from Notre Dame. The Giants, that is. Manny says, what is going to happen to Aaron Rodgers? And that was the bombshell of the draft before the draft that just kind of fizzled out. Sean, I'll start with you.
Please, Sean, let me answer because I love raining on Manny's parade. I just love it. It's a joy I get. Manny,
it's a sport for Travis. It really is.
Guess what? They said rumors came out that the Raiders is one of his picks. Well, guess what's going to happen? He ain't going to the Raiders. So just like I told Declan to get that thought out your head, get that thought out your head. I don't want you thinking about it. It ain't happening, okay? He might end up in Denver for all you know, and I hope he does because that'll really piss you off.
Could you imagine if we got to see Mahomes and Rodgers twice a year? Sean, where do you think he's going to go?
I'm going to agree with Denver here. I think that's going to be a really good spot. We know how John Elway truly feels about, getting those older veteran type quarterbacks. That would make a lot of sense to me. And we all know that this has been brewing for a long time, that Rodgers, how long he was mad at the Green Bay front office. And obviously he was mad at LaFleur, too, for obvious reasons, going back against Tampa Bay in the championship game.
Who wanted to kick that field goal, the Jeopardy question?
Hey, it's time for him to move on. Their track record, they moved on from Brett Favre. And here's another thing, too, real quick. No quarterback has ever played for the Packers for 17 seasons. Aaron Rodgers just completed his 16th season there. So that's just something to keep an eye out on as well. So
you mean to tell me that the last 32 years on the Green Bay Packers gridiron at Lambeau Field, we've seen Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers back-to-back with the exception of a couple injuries?
I actually think there's still a outside shot. He ends up in San Fran. They're 2 years removed from a Super Bowl, and Trey Lance, has the talent to be to start over and be the starting quarterback over Tim Boyle and Jordan Love in Green Bay. I don't think that would be too hard. And San Fran, outside of the injuries, when they're fully healthy, you throw Aaron Rodgers in there, and we're talking San Fran and Tampa Bay NFC Championship game.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna try and avoid trading him within the NFC.
NFC, I do agree with that though.
Because last thing you want is Aaron Rodgers coming back and beating your head in, because he's petty like that.
He really is petty. On draft night, the Niners didn't take him. He told them it would be the biggest mistake they ever made, and that was like 3 years before he got to see the field.
Here's the opportunity to correct that mistake. When I doubt it happens.
This is just going to be another piece. Aaron Rodgers is going to be a nice piece to the Brooklyn Nets super team. And we all see where this is going. They just need to add up some depth. They need to add the depth. They need Aaron Rodgers. Kyrie's been out sometimes. But there we go. Guys, that's going to be our show for this Friday. Sean, Travis, thank you. Glad to see you both make your debuts on Smoke and Mirrors here this time. So happy. Everybody have a great weekend. Stay safe. Stay healthy. As for myself, I'm Declan Krogman alongside Greg Polius, Travis McKay, Sean Kiernan. This has been Smoke and Mirrors here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, presented by the Sports Hit List. Have a great weekend, everybody.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.